Welcome to Buttonwillow Raceway Park. I'm Brian Belansky, and we are here live at Buttonwillow. Sorry for being a little late here, folks. We had some technical difficulties here right off the top of the show, and but we're back. We're here. We're live, and I am excited for four or five good races today. And joining me today is Joey Andrews. Joey is known to his friends and followers as the Stiglet. We'll have time to tell that story at some point here during the show. But let's get right to it here. We've got our first race of the day. And that first race of the day is our small sedan group. And this is GT3 STU F Production 944, SPEC 944. There's a T4 car. We've got a couple of different classes here going on here. And we are 7 minutes and 50 seconds into our, 25-minute races today. So, and you're double checking here. I believe this is the proper order here. We had a button that we're supposed to press on timing and scoring that I forgot to remind the timing and scoring people to press, but I'm going to hope that we're right here. Right now, it looks like Chris Qualls is our race leader. Wilson Powell is in second. Will Clark is in third. So while I have been walking and trying to figure out our technical problems, Joey has been watching the race. What have you noticed? What have we missed?
Yeah, camera didn't show it, but at the start of the race in lap one, going into Cotton Corners, we did have one car that went off, creating quite a dust cloud. And that is one thing here at Buttonwillow, is when you go off track here, it creates dust like no other racetrack in the world. It's truly something. So that always creates a little bit of chaos. But the main thing you'll see right now is most of the cars are pretty spread out as the race is going on pretty early. So not a ton of action so far as wheel-to-wheel battles. But, of course, it's a 25-minute race. We're just at the beginning of it, so anything can happen.
Yeah. Got a little bit of raciness going on into turn one here. So there is our turn one camera. Let's kind of walk people through our pictures that we have today. It's really a beautiful day here out at Buttonwillow today. Chamber of Commerce weather here in the area. Our forecast today is for a high of 78 degrees, and we are right now at 77 degrees. But just a slight little breeze, nothing big going on. And off in the distance there, you can see the grapevine as they come up over the hill there, and then they'll come right into our living rooms here as they come down towards the dog leg. You know, it's from up here, the dog leg doesn't look quite so significant. Here, the dog leg looks like it's a big deal, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, the dog leg is just really a kink in the straightaway, and honestly, no matter what car you drive, as long as you hold the steering wheel straight, you don't even notice it.
Right.
But yet from that angle, it looks like such a sharp corner. It's crazy.
Towards Phil Hill off in the distance there.
Yeah, this section is really the fastest. And the scariest part of the track. It's super bumpy, it's really fast. It's a bank turn, so you roll a lot of speed through it. And it sets you up into our Phil Hill section here, which is probably the most iconic part of Buttonwillow. It's this big turn where you go over completely blind until you get to the apex, and you feel the car lift off the ground, get the wheels up in the air, you feel the revs jump, and then the car comes back to a landing.
Yep.
Really, really cool part of this racetrack.
And you can see we're having a little bit of camera breakup on that Phil Hill camera. So,
and then into the S's here. This is another really cool part of the track. No matter what car you drive, this corner just feels phenomenal. It's a series of about 3 or 4 S's, depending on what car you're in, how fast you're going. Some feel straight, some feel like proper turns.
Yep.
And you're just kind of dancing the car through, going over the curbs, and setting us up onto our last corner, which leads onto the main straight right here.
and as you said earlier, our telltale sign when someone's had a moment is seeing that big old dust cloud, and you really can't get away with much here when you have the dust.
You really can't, and especially if you're the car behind, you just go blind instantly. And so it's a total game of guessing as far as where that car in front of you is going to pop out, which in any race can make or break your situation. And the exit here, going into the section known as I-5 on the off-ramp corner, this is a really good spot to overtake, as you can see. Sets up a nice little braking zone, and it's a really short little straightaway, so often cars will go side by side through this whole first section of the track. And back onto the dog leg here. You'll have the cars screaming down the straightaway, carrying a lot of speed as we get to this part.
Yeah. This is the fastest part of the racetrack here, at least in this configuration. But it's just a long, with a little bit of a sweeper more than anything else. I wouldn't even call it a corner.
Yeah, the cars here on the exit kind of dancing around, and really a lot of speed in this section. So it's an area where you think about setting up a move, but you really want to be careful with this section. It's a really cool spot to watch the cars. They're just rolling so much speed through that section.
I haven't been able to get an answer if the corner that's named Riverside is configured off of a corner from the old Riverside racetrack back in the day. There is a river out there. My guess is that it's because there's a river out there.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. Obviously, I was never alive to drive the old Riverside Raceway, so I don't know what any of the corners were like. But of course, you know, Phil Hill is named after the legendary Phil Hill, our first American Formula One world champion, and you know, someone from Los Angeles, California.
That's right.
But yeah, Riverside would soon be named after the racetrack, but there could be a river out there too.
That's right. That's right. Your top 10 right now: Qualls, Powell, Clark, Brian Lynn, and then Sean Fisher in 5th, followed by Richard James, Kurt Niebuhr, Christina Etherington in the T4 car. That's your first place car in T4. Jack McEachern is in 9th. Bobby Bayer is in 10th. Scrolling down on the part of the screen that we can't see on our pylon, in 11th, we've got Kayla Etherington, followed by Darren and Steve, Darren Murdoch, Steve Lackey, David Lecren, Dale Shoemaker, and Parker Kelly. So that's how they sit right now, the top 16 here. Coming up on 14 minutes to go. We're past the halfway mark. Let me do this real quick. Let me thank our presenting sponsor, Porterfield Racing Brakes. They are available for all of your racing brake needs and some of your non-racing brake needs. They have tools. They have other stuff that is not necessarily brake-related, but really good people there. If you have brake-related questions, if you need something specialty made for you, they will take care of it for you. Go to porterfield-brakes.com and give them a call. And if you tell them you saw and heard about it here on the Cal Club broadcast. All right, so we're coming up on 10 minutes to go in this race. I'm going to make a quick call to grid here. Of course, when I take a break, Joey, I lose track of where our pack of cars is.
Yeah, it's a pretty long lap here. Most cars are lapping at around a 2-minute range, so it definitely gets spread out. This track's about 3.7 miles long, so plenty of distance, and definitely the pack can get spread out fast. And depending on our cameras, of course, we can't always follow them along, so it's always a guessing game of where they end up. So coming onto the main straight here, got a few cars coming up.
Yeah.
Of course, about 10 minutes to go, so usually at Buttonwillow, that's about 3 to 4 laps. So this is going to be a really close part of the race. You're going to see some drivers maybe get a little bit aggressive towards the end, trying to get a final move for position. And then, of course, for the driver in front, try not to make any mistakes and hold it together to keep your result.
Exactly. coming up on about 8 minutes left to go here. And my timing and scoring is fine, I think. Oh, there it goes. We're having internet bandwidth issues here today, so if you're noticing the breakup on the stream, that is the explanation. It is often the case when you come to some of these rural racetracks that the internet, the cell phone service isn't always the best in the world out here, but we do the best we can with the tools that we are able to get our hands on here.
Absolutely, and that is definitely one challenge with a lot of these racetracks is being in the middle of nowhere. Often our cell service is kind of spotty, and as you can see today, get a bit of intermittent service and coverage of the race, so definitely makes our lives a little bit harder trying to track the cars down, but making it happen.
Joey is the reigning Mazda MX-5 shootout winner, right?
Yes, won the 2024 SPEC MX-5 shootout to drive on the Mazda Motorsports factory team in SPEC MX-5 this year in 2025.
So he has been at, were you at all of the Super Tours?
Most of them.
Yeah.
We mainly ran the Midwest and the East Coast, pretty much all those races. So we did Road Atlanta, Mid-Ohio, VIR, Road America, the runoffs at Road America.
So you and I are often at the racetrack together, and the internet issues are not uncommon to what we're having here.
Exactly. No matter where you go, it seems to be a common thing. It makes sense. You need space to build a racetrack, and obviously that's
neighbors happen when there are no neighbors. It's easier to keep. Exactly. Oh, there's a big internet blackout. Love that. Love that. Still, Qualls, Powell, Clark, Lynn. That is your top four, followed by Fisher, James, Niebuhr, Christina Etherington, Jack McEachern, and Bobby Bayer. That's your top 10 right now. Of course, your provisional top 10.
It's true. Anything can always happen after the race.
It's true.
This race hasn't had too many incidents, so unless there was some technical infringement on one of the cars, don't see any of these results really changing too much.
Yeah. Typically at the local level, there's not a whole lot of protesting that goes on, although it does happen on occasion. It is often more of a gentlemanly endeavor when you're at the racetrack at the local level. It's a little more cutthroat at the national level.
Absolutely. Definitely depends on what people are willing to challenge or not challenge, and the bigger the field, the different drivers. A lot of questions start coming up on the technical side of the cars.
That's right. If you're watching at home, feel free to leave a message in our chat. Happy to hear from you. I refer to the people in the chat as our associate producers. So usually they know more about the drivers and the cars than we do because they're fans and family of the drivers who are in these races.
Absolutely.
For those of you who might be checking out the SCCA for the first time, definitely a big family affair out here. We've got families who've been doing this for decades, and new families who come along as well. But I have learned over the years that everybody in the paddock becomes family after a while. So you can find out more about the SCCA, SCCA.com. If you're in Southern California, you can find out more about the Cal Club, which is the local club that's affiliated with the SCCA, by going to calclub.com.
Last couple laps here. See if that needs any moves. Of course, the one thing with this run group is we have a lot of cars in different classes. So one challenge that always comes up in these races is the whole concept of racing out of class. You're on the racetrack, there's basically 5 different classes, and when you're racing against those cars, you obviously want to pass them to help your own race, but you always have the risk of an incident happening that will hinder your own race. So it's definitely a game. And same with being defensive as well. Do you want to hold up cars in a different class to potentially, have those cars hold up cars that are in your class? That'll start to happen.
Well, and it's very much like what you see when you watch an IMSA race. They usually have 4 classes. And obviously, that's a different level of competition, but it is multi-class racing, obviously at the highest level. And but it always plays into it at some point in the race where you've got the faster cars having to negotiate around the slower cars, and there is an absolute skill involved with doing that well, both on the being passed end and on the passing end.
Exactly. It's a total game of, driving in your mirrors, being careful, and also at the same time knowing when to strategically be defensive. So
Yep. It's also tough and interesting that even the best drivers in the faster cars are really good at having their crews tell them, I'm coming up on slower cars, but those guys are fighting for actual class position. So, and maybe if I'm not fighting for class position, I'll wait a corner or two before I try to get around them and allow them to have a good, clean race. So, the sportsmanship goes in both directions. At least it's supposed to.
exactly. Always supposed to.
It doesn't always, but you like to let it. You like to see it when it can. So. Yeah. No real changes. Qualls, Powell, Clark, Lynn, Fisher. That's your top 5, followed by James, Niebuhr, Christina Etherington, Jack McEachern, and Kayla Etherington. Actually, Kayla has now moved up into 5th place, or into 10th place, I should say. It's a mother-daughter duo, if I remember correctly. And I had them on my podcast, so this should be in my brain. I believe Christina is mom and Kayla is the daughter. So, one of those great racing families that I was telling you about. We should be getting our white flag in the air any moment now. If it hasn't, yep. I see the starter holding the white flag. And I will pick that up when it happens. You'll see him put it in the air here in just a moment. And now there is the white flag in the air as the car goes off in the distance, just briefly and momentarily. So Chris Qualls starting his final lap here. I like to call this the artsy part of the racetrack, of the race broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. Always create some interesting colors and patterns depending on the service here.
Exactly.
So, kind of see the cars pixelating their way through.
That's right.
And approaching onto the back straight here. A little bit of the same as well. Battling that signal.
Fortunately, there's only really so much that we can do. At some point, maybe during our work break coming up here, in a race or two.
Exactly, it always works that way. Total shame. Let's see with Phil Hill here. Going crazy.
Yeah. So it's nice to have Joey here with us this weekend. Joe, you're based out of the Southern California area.
I am from Glendale, so this is one of my local tracks here at Buttonwillow. Driven many laps here over the years, and thrilled to be here.
Now we're just waiting for our leaders to come around the final turn for the final time here. White flag is going to get pulled in here. Checkered flag will go in the air. And it'll be Chris Qualls across the line first to take the checkered flag. Wilson Powell will come across second, followed by Will Clark and Brian Lynn. And then we've got Sean Fisher. We're going to wait just a few seconds here, let some more cars come across the line, just in case there were some changes of position in the last lap. And then we'll take a short break. We'll give you the full field rundown, and then we will take a short break here and get to our next race of the day. I think that's probably enough cars. Let's go through our full field right now. Chris Qualls, your race winner, followed by Wilson Powell. Will Clark finishes third. That's your podium. And, of course, Wilson Powell will be the STU class winner. Chris Qualls will be the GT3 class winner. Then you've got Brian Lynn. He will be your F production class winner, followed by your STL class winner, Sean Fisher. Then you've got Richard James. Your SPEC 944 race winner is going to be Kurt Niebuhr, followed by your T4 race winner, Christina Etherington. Then you've got Jack McEachern, followed by Kayla Etherington. Bobby Byer is in 11th, followed by Darren Murdoch, Steve Lackey, Dave Lecran, Dale Shoemaker, and Parker Kelly. That's how they stack up here at the end of our first race of the day. Coming up next, we've got, what do we have? We've got our Formula cars, FE2, Formula Atlantic Continental, A Street Racer, Prototypes, Sports 2000s, and the SR3 class. That's up next. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
All right, and welcome back to the broadcast. Currently on the formation lap here as we get ready for our class of Wings and Things. These are, of course, called the Wings and Things because these are the cars that have downforce, so our formula cars and our prototype cars. See the drivers behind the safety car here, warming up their tires, getting ready for the race start. 25-minute race today, so not too long, more in the sprint race format. And of course, this is one of those races where we'll see how aggressive the drivers get at the start. But should be a good one here.
All right, here we go. And I'm going to try to reset these cameras a little bit to help us out, so I may not talk as much here. Oops. The lights are out on the pace car. I just got word from the pace car operator and in race control. Every time we reset the cameras, folks, I always hold my breath for a minute to make sure they come back. A little less breakup. All right, there is our green flag as our first group comes through. As a split start for this group. I just came from downstairs, Joey, and there's a bunch of people on the mezzanine here, which means they're all thinking something bad's going to happen in turn one.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Let's say necessarily something bad, but definitely going to be always exciting.
Something, yes. Here comes our second group now with the green flag for them. I did take a peek at turn one, and I didn't see a lot of dust, so that's a good sign.
Exactly. Everyone keeping it on track, keeping it civilized. Always important. But, of course, as we go up through here, through the off-ramp turn into I-5,
Yep.
field gets bunched up and tight. And going through cotton corners as we approach the back straightaway, that's where we really see the field start to spread out and get us our true race order to start with.
There they come now through the dog leg. Already spread out a little bit.
Yeah, not too much, but this is another interesting part of the track where you'll start to see the effect of the slipstream coming in. So as one car follows behind the other, starts to pass in the riverside. That's when we really get a good run inside of moving Phil Hill. We're really thinking about the back half of the track into the hard braking zone of Star Mazda. That's probably your best passing zone in the entire track. So if you can get that started all the way from the back straight, you're setting yourself up really well.
Timing screen, but I think I know why. So I'm going to go try to fix that, and I'll be right back. Go have fun.
And as we see our cars exiting through turn one here. Turn one's a really good passing zone in this track as well, coming in with a decent amount of street speed off that front straight. Pretty hard braking zone, and then sets up a good spot to be side by side going into turn two, known as on-ramp. Turn two is one of those narrow turns where Pretty hard to be side by side, but if you can set yourself up well into the entry, it's a good spot. Or it's one of those turns where you pressure the driver ahead into making a mistake, and you set up a move going into 3 and 4 with caught in corners here. As you can see, our cars bunching up a little bit in I-5s, making the run into caught in corners. Caught in corners is definitely one of the slower parts of the track. It's a series of a right-hander, a left-hander, a right-hander, and then the last right-hander known as grapevine, which leads us onto our straightaway here with the dog leg. So you go from one of the slowest parts of the track all the way to the fastest part. Get a little bit of an elevation change, and then just launch the car to the straightaway. The sharp run through the Porterfield hill turn, climb up the hill, blind right-hander over the apex, and right back down the hill on the exit.
It's tough to know who to talk about when we don't have the timing screen, isn't it?
It is, yeah. No live timing right now, so that's making our life a little bit difficult here. Obviously, pretty hard to see the car numbers, pretty hard to see the leaderboard because there is no leaderboard right now.
Well,
of course, Race Control does have that data, but
yes,
we here at the broadcast booth do not. So, fortunately to our viewers here, sorry about that, but we're currently working on getting that solved, and hopefully for our next race, we will have that up and running back to normal.
I have a different option that I can't get on the screen, but I at least will be able to talk about it, which will help a lot. And I will send, Joey, I'll send you this link here as soon as I get it pulled up. If I get it pulled up. So as I was downstairs talking with the timing folks, 22 cars in this race. Nice big Formula Car field here. There is a Pacific Formula Car Championship that comes and plays with us on a regular basis, and they bring their championship to be part of what we do, which is pretty awesome. Let's see if I can find this real quick. This is another 25-minute race here. There we go. I should not have refreshed that. Always my luck. Here we go. I will send this to you, and then you'll be able to pull this up. It's interesting how all of our technology here, from timing and scoring and sharing all that information, requires good, strong internet.
does, and that is something we do not have right now.
So this is our first of 2 race days here out at Buttonwillow. We'll come out here tomorrow, do it all over again. Tomorrow our racing action starts at a little earlier at 11:05 in the morning with 1 race before lunch. Then we take our lunch break, and then we come back with our rest of the races in the afternoon. And start a little bit earlier because we don't do a practice sessions in the morning, just a quick qualifying session. And so it gets us to the racetrack a little bit sooner. And if anybody's ever spent any time in Southern California, you know that trying to get home on Sunday night can be problematic, to say the least. So getting done a little bit early, that should be in your email. Getting done a little bit early is not, anybody's going to argue about that. And, well, that is, live timing. I hit the wrong button. So you're going to have to click, when you get to it, you're going to have to click the live timing button. Well, that is problematic. Because it should be. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to wait till the end of this session so I don't bother the timing and scoring folks. So we're just going to have to eat this one, people. And they've got their hands full down there, and we'll get this sorted out. I think we have a worker break here, actually, between after this race. So we do. So that's good. That'll give me some time to go see if we can't get it sorted out here.
Absolutely. Total shame that we don't have the live timing with us, but
yeah,
of course we still get to see the action of the cars on track.
We do. Well, let me try to do some of that for us. This will also give us an opportunity to see if the changes I made to the cameras are actually helping us at all. Is the length of a quarter-mile drag strip. So it is it's a pretty cool piece of racetrack. We use Phil Hill almost all the time out here, though, because people just love that little feature of this racetrack so much. There's 25 configurations. Unlike the new track, the circuit, the classic track here has 25 different configurations. Each of those configurations can be run in both clockwise and counterclockwise direction. But the drivers tend to like the clockwise directions more.
Yeah, I always found that the clockwise direction felt a little more natural, a little more flowing. I think when you go counterclockwise, the corners seem to tighten up a lot on the exit, which provides a new challenge. That's definitely something enjoyable, I guess. But when it comes to the actual wheel-to-wheel product, I think the clockwise direction does work a little bit better. And from a driving standpoint, feels a little bit easier as well.
Since Buttonwillow owned by Cal Club, we run out here a lot, usually 4 or 5 times, maybe even 6 times a year. Now we have the 2 separate tracks, so we'll be alternating back and forth, or not necessarily alternating, but we'll be back and forth between the tracks. One counterclockwise race a year, just to shake things up and maybe make some.
Yeah, it's always good to mix it up. You never want to the same layout.
Exactly. So, yeah, and that is the interesting part of having the opportunity to have these multiple configurations. So, but it's definitely it does feel like the clockwise direction is what most of the drivers seem to like. So unless you're the one driver who wins on the clockwise, you're like, I love the clockwise.
Yeah, I mean, I've won races in both directions, so I can say I do like both, but they're definitely different.
Sure.
And I think that's what makes it fun.
Yep, absolutely. So it does feel like we're maybe a little more solid on the cameras after we've made the changes. So I have learned that when you're dealing with this technology, Joey, being a perfectionist is not good for your mental health.
No, it is not, unfortunately.
So I've learned to accept the realities of what it is, and we just do the best we can depending on where the day is. And then if you throw weather into the mix, oh boy, it's a whole different ball of wax then.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So
We're very lucky to have a beautiful day out today.
it is. Well, and in Southern California, most of our days are beautiful days. When we have the bad weather, it's pretty infrequent. So we do. Want to remind everybody, if you enjoy the SCCA and all of its racing and all the different things the SCCA does, check out the Inside the SCCA podcast. You can watch it right here on the Racing Network. It's also on pretty much all of the popular podcasting platforms as well. We've got great guests every week. The host is kind of average, but the guests are really good. I'm the host, folks. I'm giving myself a hard time. I should make an alter ego so I can literally troll myself. Wouldn't that be fun? That would be fun. Anyway, no, we have a good time with the show. This past show, we took a deep dive into hill climb and rallycross. If you're watching this portion of what the SCCA does, you might not even know that the SCCA does hill climb, rallycross, time trials at Track Night America. For people who've never been on the racetrack before, it's a great way to get put your big toe in the pond to see if you like it. What else? We have autocross, solo, so lots of different things. These people sound
Exactly.
So you're going to do SPEC MX5 the full season again this year, go for the championship in SCCA, right?
Exactly. That's the goal next year, is to win the SCCA championship in SPEC MX5. So going to be starting our first race actually here next year at Buttonwillow for the first round of the Super Tour. So looking forward to that. And, of course, going to be running full season. So going to the Midwest, the East Coast, and kind of hopping all around the country. Of course, with the conclusion of that championship being at the SCCA runoff next year, which will be at Road America, a track I absolutely love. So that's going to be a great season coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, the Super Tour is going to start here for the. I don't know if it's the first time it will start in Southern California, but usually in the recent past anyway, it has started out at Sebring, and it's not going to be going to Sebring this year. We've got a tow truck heading out, which makes me think we have a car. Oh, yep, coming right at our camera. Uh-oh. Did we miss a car going off there? We must have.
Yes, we must have, and I can't see it from our announcer booth here.
Yeah.
And, of course, on our camera feed, we can't see it either, so
Well,
not quite sure what's happened. And, of course, this part of the race, we're not sure if they're going to throw a yellow flag out there and a potential safety car to retrieve the car or just wait till the end of the session.
yeah, one thing you will find is that we try very hard to not do safety cars here. We have one of the best crews of safety workers and car retrieval teams here, as is anywhere in the club. And So it allows us to do a lot of things on a hot racetrack under local yellows, which is what we try to do here. I can't see. Let me see if I can drop the pylon here. Can we see? Oh, yeah, off to the left there, you can see there's a car right there. Right now you see the tow truck. So the car must have pulled in on the other side of the flagger stand there. Right, if you look right under the Cal Club logo, you'll see all the action going on down there. And looks like that car's in a pretty safe place. So if it's not, they'll tug it into a slightly safer location, and then they'll leave it there till the end of the race. So I can probably look up. I do have a log here. Oh, so it's car number 53. No, it's car number 57. It went off, impacted the tires, and needs a tow now. Car number 57. And let me see if I can pull up enough information here on that. Event results. We might have be able to retrieve that car number here in just a second or find out who that is. This is group 3. Car number, what did I say, 53?
57.
57. 57 is... That is Nicholas Coe in the 57 car. And if I click here, does it give me any more info on Mr. Coe? Nope. The only thing I know is that he was running in the 151, 152 range. So, and then had some sort of a moment. So, piecing the puzzle together.
Exactly. Doing the best we can with the info we have.
That is right. So, also gone off in this race a little earlier, the 3 car went off, and not quite sure if that car got stuck somewhere. The 3 car is Mark Peller, and the... '53 car had it off and on, and the 21 car. So it's been a bit of an eventful race for a couple of drivers. But we haven't had to go full course yellow, and let's knock on wood that continues to be the case. Today.
Definitely not giving us the smoothest of footage.
No.
At least we get a good view of the S's here.
Yeah.
Of course, in the Formula cars, they're absolutely flying through here, carrying lots of speed, lots of downforce as well as a result of that speed, and looks pretty spectacular to the S's to watch.
Yeah, my guess is they're pretty close to flat through there. Might have to lift a little here or there, and then they have to come and slow it down just a little bit to make the turn here. That's called Sunset. The last corner before the front straight is referred to as Sunset. If you ever hear the sunsets are spectacular, so that's how that got its name. And then when you get to turn 1 here, that's considered sunrise, obvious reasons.
Exactly.
I will say the sunrises are nice, but they're not as good as the sunsets. So I-5 is referred to as that because it parallels. If you look way off in the distance there, you're going to see some semis. They are actually on I-5. So this portion of the racetrack parallels I-5. This is the dogleg because it is a dogleg way off in the end there in the distance. That final corner before that back straight is called Grapevine It is closest to the Grapevine, which is a section of I-5 that we all have to go through if you're coming from the south, coming up here. Big old mountain to go over. Well, I should say, for Southern California standards, it's a big old mountain.
Yeah, that's true.
For those in California who are like, oh, hold my beer. Or in Colorado, they're like, that ain't no mountain. But, yeah. Did you grow up up here? I never realized it was.
It's surprisingly mountainous.
Yeah. Oh, got a couple of passes under the yellow coming from the tech steward. That will get someone a talking to.
Absolutely. It's kind of the first no-go in racing. Don't pass or cause any incidents under a yellow flag.
It's like the first two rules. The third rule is don't take out your teammate.
Exactly.
And it depends. If you own the car, that's your first rule. The rest of them are less important. There we go. One of the offenders was car number 3, and I pulled down my list here, so I don't have that driver's name in front of me, but you know who you are. These are 25-minute sessions. I have to think we're coming close to the end. Oh, white flag is in the air. How about that?
Perfect timing.
My internal clock is still fantastic. White flag is in the air.
1 lap to go here.
Yep. When I do get the information on who won the race, I will pass that along during the next race. So, no problem with that. See, there is our starter waving that white flag. Now the starter pulling out the hands off the white flag to the second person to start stand. So the starter now pulls off the checkered flag. It's always fun to watch the dance on the starter stand and see how they manage the end of the race here.
Exactly. Every flagger kind of has their own style.
Yep.
Makes it fun to watch.
Well, has their own style. And there's also a system they use where with the two flaggers, one takes over the white flag so that the main starter for this particular race can be ready for the leader to come across the line. This should be our fastest race of the weekend with all of the Formula cars in this race. And
there we
here
go.
comes
Checkered
that
flag is
checkered
out.
Flag in the air. Pull that white flag down. There we go. All right, I am going to call this one, and we will be back for our third race of the day. Our third race of the day is our big bore sedan. So it's our big GT cars, our touring cars, A sedan, spec Corvettes, a lot of spec Corvettes here this weekend. That'll be next year. I'm going to go try to fix our timing and scoring, and hopefully we get that going. We'll be right back here. You are watching the Cal Club races here, brought to you by Porterfield Racing Brakes. We are on the Racing Network. Stay with us, everybody. All right, we are back here live at Buttonwillow Raceway Park for our Saturday of 2 days of racing. These are our divisional races here at the classic track at Buttonwillow. I'm Brian Belansky. Along with me today, Joey Andrews is sitting in with us and doing a great job helping out. Let's do our starting order here for our fourth race group of the day, third race of the day. We have a track event, folks. We'll tell you about that a little bit, too. Anyway, let's go through the starting lineup for this race group number 4. Starting on the 8th row on the inside is Gary Nestor. Next to him will be Wayne Graham. Then we go to row number 7. On the inside of row 7, Robert Kelly. Next to him is Christopher Qualls. Now on to row number 6 in the SPEC Corvette car, Patrick Howe. Next to him is Blaine Bridges. Now I say that a lot of times the SPEC Corvettes, they do a split start. So that may be happening here. And the way I'm looking at this now, I don't see any Corvette. So yes, definitely going to be a split start. So it's too hard for me to do these in my head. So we're going to pretend like it's the old way here. Row number 5 shall be James Ishu and Michael Cheney. Ole Thornton will be on the inside of row number 4 with Luis Martinez. Then we've got David Holmes on the inside of row number 3 with John Stott. Moving on to row number 2, it's Jenna Kepoff with Joshua Pitt. And then your front row will be the SP car of Bob Blizzard, one of my favorite names in Southern California, a guy named Blizzard. And then next to him, Ben Valentine in the GT2. When you think ground pounder, you should think Dodge Challenger because that thing is loud. So he is on the outside of row number 2, or on the front row. To the S's here. That is called Problem City. That was number 6 here. Let's change that to that. Corvette group. And there's our pace car getting into the final corner here. We should see them on the front straight coming up in just a second here as they wrap their way around that last corner. Starter is looking for nicely lined up cars 2x2. And he's not going to start this race. They are not going to start this race. So we're going to get one more pace lap. Now here in the SCCA, Joey, when there's a wave off, this next lap will actually count. But they will go around. The pace car will not pick them up. I'm looking at the pace car not going back out. So the first field, well, both fields, will be under the control of Bob Blizzard, the pole sitter. He will be your now pace car for this second lap. There was clearly somebody out of line, probably trying to get an unfair advantage. No race car driver would ever want an unfair advantage, right?
No, never. So of course, in these conditions here, it's a virtual safety car. So
yes.
Full course yellow, all the cars are going to hold their position and essentially doing a second formation lap. But of course, the race has technically started.
Yeah, so the clock has started, so the 25 minutes is underway.
But of course, we're not actually properly racing because
Correct.
no one is allowed to pass under these conditions.
That is right. That is right. Let's see if I get a little note from race control to tell me who the offending car was. So they'll make their way around. Pace car speed, even though there's no pace car. Then they'll line back up again. And this is now, I don't know how many split starts you've done, Joey. One of the interesting things on a split start is once the first group gets it, the second group knows they're going to get a green flag. They really can't call off the second start.
Exactly.
So now, and if you want to play the game, you can maybe try to do a little bit of a jump on your own and hope they don't catch you doing it. But and I've seen that happen. So
Yeah, it's a game all about aggression, really, when you're the second group in a split start.
Yeah.
You know, most of the races I've done have been split starts, so we always know that going in. It's like first group, you know, as long as they're well behaved, we're going to get a green flag.
Right.
And, you know, of course, you don't want to break the rules necessarily, but you definitely see a lot of drivers who do get pretty darn aggressive.
Sure.
And starts get very, very interesting.
Yeah. And or something, when there's close blockage, that kind of thing. Otherwise, they're going to get that start without too many issues. So. The new Buttonwillow.
Our motorcycle's out there, and
Yeah.
now as our field gets ready to approach the front straight, green
now
flag
we're
is in the
back.
air.
I almost missed the start. Green flag is in the air. That's a good call, and we're going to see how they do coming now down towards turn one for the first time.
SPEC Corvette's definitely a class that's known to be a little aggressive, so I'll be very curious how these cars approach turn one. Of course, this is the C5 generation Corvette, so pretty darn fast cars. And this whole class, really, all very fast cars.
And here comes our second group now. We'll just stay here. A couple of cars going off on the inside. I don't know if there's been problems down there, but that was very interesting. A couple cars went off on the track on the inside, right by the pit wall. Didn't really go off, but got in the dirt, which is kind of unusual.
Yeah, that's something you don't see a lot, especially their race start as well.
Corvette's already taken off a big bit here. This is the second group here as they come down I-5. Try to catch our SPEC Corvette.
They are certainly Corvettes, and we'll see them flying through the S's here.
There we go. So this is a SPEC Corvette. All of these cars built with the same package on them, essentially. And don't know a lot about that package, but I do know suspension is SPEC. And I don't know if they have to use a stock motor or not, but it's become a real popular class out here. And I know there are some advocates for it on the East Coast as well, trying to get a nationwide kind of SPEC Corvette thing going on here. So, but yeah, and they're running, if not the identical spec, the East Coast driver is running a very similar spec, if nothing else. That's the A section way out there in the distance. So even on just on the ends of some of these long straightaways, there's 2 or 3 options. So, so this is the slightly shorter option when you get to the turn 3 area. Turn 3 area. Lost my count there for a second. Here's where you really get a good shot of the speed of these Corvettes as they come through here. You know, they come through so fast, I may question the placement of that camera.
Yeah. They are certainly flying down this back straight well over 100 miles an hour.
That's right. I promised you that if we got them, we would share them with you. had Joe Moran in the prototype, finished 4th. Mark Peller was 5th. Paul Marino in the FE2 car was 6th. Another prototype, Johnny Green, 7th. Was in 8th. Jeremy Hammond in 9th. Nick Pidenko was 10th, followed by Jim Bryant. Ehud Nahir Saturday. Ehud Nahir. I don't believe his name is Saturday. I believe he's the guy racing that car on Saturday. I'm guessing there'll be a guy Sunday tomorrow with the last name of Sunday. Ehud Nahir was in 12th. Jonathan Nicastro was 13th, followed by Cameron Parsons. Had a nice chat with Cameron this morning. He's going to be on the podcast soon. John Fabjanik is in 15th, followed by Armand Russell, Christopher Britton, Paul McFarland, Sean Sarbacher, Andres Cipriano, Trevor Russell, and Nicholas Cole. That's the 22nd finisher. That's how they finished.
A little bit before the S's, but on the other side. And you see already they're starting to spread out. Only 2 laps into this race. 2 laps under green, of course. We started with a yellow flag.
Yep.
Don't have live timing once again, so making our lives a little difficult out there.
I should have started my stopwatch, at least so we would know when the end of the race was coming.
It's a good point. We can kind of take a guess.
A little old school, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Probably around 18 minutes remaining, but of course we have no live timing, so not entirely sure from our end.
Let's see here. And looking at the race log for this race, we have had no issues so far. We have one car that might be leaking fuel. That's the only call we've had from our race workers so far, the 09 car. That would be the Blaine Bridges in the ITE Ford Mustang. So, someone went off there at the exit of Sunset. Very common. So, well, they're pushing a little hard through there. What's your favorite part of this track?
I think I'd be boring if I said it was Phil Hill.
Sure.
So I'm not going to say Phil Hill because it's a great turn. But I think in all honesty, I'm going to have to give it to Star Mazda in this configuration.
All right.
We don't have a camera there, unfortunately, but it's a very tight hairpin, and it's tight on the exit as well, which makes it very interesting. But a really hard braking zone going in, and my favorite parts of racetracks are hard braking zones. So there's one corner that's really, really challenging, especially because it's bumpy in the braking zone coming into there. So it really makes it
kind of a straightaway, especially even in a low power car. We can to get down to that last corner before. So you can really make up some ground there if you can get through the A section well. Oops. Oh, there we go. That's the section you're talking about, the S's. So, and you can kind of straight through them to a certain extent.
Yeah, you can get pretty straight through them. Of course, kind of nipping the bottoms of the curbs.
Right.
No matter what car you drive through there, which, depending on how stiff the car is and how fast you're going through those corners, makes it more and more sketchy, but definitely enjoyable.
There we go. It's always interesting to me on 16 cars in this group, and this track is big enough where we can go to a camera and not see any cars. Now we've got a slower prototype, probably the GTX car of, looks like a prototype.
Definitely is a prototype.
Yeah.
LMP3 style looking car. Yellow flag is out.
Oh, no, that's not Joshua Pitt. Hold on. Oh, that's probably Bob Blizzard in the SP car. No, that doesn't make sense either. Well, I am befuddled.
Yeah, and based on where that car is parked, I would not be surprised if they try to send out a tow vehicle. He's kind of in the middle of the racetrack.
Is he?
Yeah, it's off to the side between
Oh, yeah.
the right side going down into turn 1. So he's actually in a decently safe spot. But, of course,
Yeah.
the race control people are going to throw out a yellow flag because obviously he is within vicinity of the racetrack. We see the driver pop open his door there.
Yeah.
So
What they'll probably do is send out a course truck just to park it in front of that car as kind of semi-protection. You also don't want a driver sitting in one of those cars for an extended period of time. It's not really that hot this weekend, but in a car like that, we are at the halfway point. So that means that there is 12 and a half minutes to go in this race. So now I am going to set my timer. So kind of a good chance to go. At the halfway point here, want to thank everybody at Porterfield Racing Brakes for being the presenting sponsor of our racing here at Buttonwillow. All of our Cal Club races, of course, brought to you by Porterfield Racing Brakes. If you need brakes for your car, whether it's your street car or your race car, especially if you do a little performance stuff, even better, Porterfield Racing Brakes probably has something for you there. You can check them out at porterfield-brakes.com. And I've lost what I think is our leader. I don't know which car that was supposed to be. Now, on the original list, I did see a GTX car, but I don't see them right now. Our race leader right now, thank you to our control log, is the 9-car Bob Blizzard, followed by the 24-car of Ben Valentine, and then car 70, just like they qualified, 1, 2, and 3 in qualifications, is our race running order right now, and that would be Bob Blizzard, Ben Valentine, and Jenna Kopitov. So Joshua Pitt was the 4th place starter. And again, with this session as well, we will give you the running order or the finishing order once they get posted after we're done. And then I will try to get the timing going again for us for the next race. Yeah, the one thing that's interesting out here is there's not a whole lot, there's no brake markers out here. And that's kind of difficult sometimes, especially if you've never been here before, to kind of figure out where to go as far as that kind of stuff. And with some of our flat corners here, you know, it's hard to kind of figure out without being, you know, a lot of laps here where your turn-in points are.
No grass, no crazy anything sticking out. So everything's up to the driver's instincts, really, which I'm always the kind of driver that I never end up using markers anyways. So I would never have an issue down the track. If you're here with a group that doesn't put out any kind of markers, it can be very difficult to learn.
Right. So looks like our that's your lead duo right there, coming right up to the top of Phil Hill. Wrong button. There we go. Coming up on just under 9 minutes to go in this race. Got 2 more races this afternoon here from Buttonwillow. And then again, we'll come out here and do it all over again tomorrow. So you want to make sure you stop out and stop in on the YouTube here and check us out. SPEC Miata is next, followed by our Spec Racer Ford, Formula V, and Formula F race. So that will be coming up here. Still ahead, so don't go anywhere. With the dust and the heat that we get that beats these tracks up here, is this a particularly slippery racetrack when you're out here?
I would say so. Generally, yes. I think most tracks in the country and really in the world, I mean, the hotter they get, the more grip they lose.
Yeah.
But this is a track that it never really has a ton of grip, and it's one of those cases where the more dust that gets thrown onto it, or the hotter it gets, or combine it all together, you really start noticing it becomes tricky to drive, and it's very easy to start making mistakes.
Well, and it's also, I mean, it is sun-baked all year round. So
Yeah.
Other tracks in other parts of the country have the problems of bumps because you get the different changes in seasons and the hot and the cold. That's not our issue here at all.
Yeah, we certainly don't have a cold weather problem racing year-round on this track.
Now, this track is busy more than 300 days a year between the weekends of actual club racing and actual competition. During the week, it is rented out on a regular basis for movie shoots, car testing for race cars, and also production cars as well, tire tests. And because people could come out and do their testing in the middle of the winter in other parts of the country, people come from all over the country out here in December, January, February. And always, that's why a second track was built out here, because there's just that much demand for a racetrack. So,
absolutely. I mean, every weekend there's always a ton of events happening here, tons of cars being driven. And, you know, in Southern California, we don't have a lot of tracks left, so this is one of our few places that exists in
this racetrack. We now have the ability to run two events at the exact same time. They are not connected. They have completely separate facilities. And so now there is an opportunity for 600 days of racing out here at Buttonwillow. So, of course, if you want to come out and join us at a Cal Club event, go to calclub.com to find the schedule. Lots of opportunities to either come out and race your car, get involved. We're always looking for volunteer race workers to go stand on the corners and lots of different things. We've got starters, stewards, timing and scoring, technical inspectors, grid. Whenever I go through the list, I forget somebody. Registration, worker services. We can go on and on and on. But anyway, takes a whole bunch of people to put these events on, and you can come out here and you also get to hang out with the drivers and check out the awesome cars. As most of us say, we came for the cars, but we stay for the people.
Exactly. It's what it's all about, the community.
Yep. You know, and of course, Southern California is kind of the car culture. And so much of a great number of enthusiasts out here, car clubs, enthusiast groups. So plenty of opportunities to get involved. If you don't live in Southern California, for watching the live stream from anywhere in the United States, there's probably an SCCA region located button. Pop that button. I think you just throw in your zip code, and they will direct you to your closest region and pick up the phone, send them an email. I don't think we pick up the phone anymore. Nobody picks up the phone. I'm pretty certain it's an email now. But anyway, yep, you can come and check them out. Always looking for a good place to have fun. Our little hashtag is #FunWithCars. Ooh, that Corvette is not going at the speed that a Corvette should be going.
No, and now he's pulled off the track.
Pulled off the track there as well.
And that is definitely going to be a big yellow flag.
Yeah.
One of the fastest sections that you see. The closing speed here.
Yeah, that is
quite significant. Wow, they're flying through there. So this is going to be very interesting. If you wanted to choose one place to break down, that is not going to be it.
Probably not. You're right. No question. And why wouldn't you have tried to pull, off another, unless you really thought you were going to be able to get the car started and running again? So that's the 174 car. That is James Ishu, and according to a race log, he might have a flat right rear tire. So I understand why you'd pull off, because if that car completely comes off the car, it can really screw up the bodywork. But probably could have inched the car a little further off the racetrack.
Absolutely, and of course with the car being there, that puts up a big yellow flag in that little zone of the track, so kind of distracts all the racing. Will it bunch up the field at all? Probably not, based on how spread out they are, but definitely not an optimal place to stop.
Well, it looks like they're going to cover that car with a local yellow for a lap or two, and then they're going to consider it part of the racetrack. We're coming up on, how much time we got here? Only 2.5 minutes left in this race. So this race almost over, so that's part of what plays into that decision-making process as well. Also sounds like we're going to have a bit of a break for someone dusted up a lot of stuff in turn 4. And, of course, we call things backwards here. So turn 4 is not the first corner. It's because we run counterclockwise and clockwise, we don't rename the turns when we change direction. So turn 4 is actually, I'm going to guess the S's.
Yeah, if we're counting each S as a little turn,
so I think
the S's.
Turn 1 would be Sunset. That might be Star Mazda turn up here, or the sweeper. So anyway, we're going to have a short little break. White flag is in the air. So we are working our last lap. Let's make sure that the same leaders are still the case. Next time by, yep, car number 24. Oh, now it's car number 24 is your race leader. So Ben Valentine has gotten around Bob Blizzard. So Valentine is now the race leader, followed by Bob Blizzard, and then the 70 car. It says the 70 car. I'm pretty sure it's a 170 car of Jenna Cupoff. So, yeah. So that was a change of position that we missed out on. You can see our tow truck. So there's a couple of things they're going to have to go get also. Besides the cleanup, we've got that car that's pulled off on Main Straight. We've got the car in the S's. So.
And looks like they're waiting until the end of the race to grab the cars, so
yeah.
That way.
Yeah, at this point, definitely.
Not interfering with any artificial yellow flags.
Yeah.
Probably the best decision that everyone would prefer anyways.
No phantom debris flags for a NASCAR yellow full course.
Exactly.
Let's see here. Let's just stay here till they pull out a checkered flag, and then we'll at least catch the leader to come across the line here. And then I'm going to try to remember to start the clock at the right time in the next lap if we don't get our timing and scoring up. Checkered flag is up in hand, and it is now in the air for Ben Valentine. Your race winner, not far behind, is Bob Blizzard. And the next car through should be Jenna Koptoff. Going to have to find Jenna and ask her how to pronounce that name. Looks like a... Yep. And there we go. And, of course, we will get you the final order here once the last car comes across and they post it. So, all right, we're going to take another break here. When we come back, we've got our next race of the weekend. Now, there's going to be a bit of a break, so don't go anywhere. We got a little cleanup to do, but it's SPEC Miata is up next, and they always put on a fantastic show. So stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back here to Buttonwillow Raceway Park, and we are getting ready for our third race of the day, I think it is. Well, whatever the race it is SPEC Miata, and they are doing their thing. Lights are out on the pace car. Let's get to our starting lineups, Joey. Take it away.
So we got 14 cars in the field today. So starting with row 7, we've got Broderick Dunlap, William Sturgon. Moving on to row 6, we've got Gabe Estrada Jr., Hendrick Webster. On to row 5, we've got Alan Lukart III and Carl Jonick. Moving to row 4, we've got Aaron Coulter and Alex Pollard. Row 3, we've got Sam Rezai and Brett Rivetta. Row 2, Clement Lee and Cooper Hicks. And on our front row, we've got Nate Del Carmen and Evan Jacobs.
Well, there you have it. That is our starting lineup here. Pace car is in, and we should be seeing our cars come onto the front straight here any moment. And when that happens, our starter will hopefully wave the green flag here, and we'll get going here for our SPEC Miata race.
All right, cars approaching. And any moment, they'll be dropping the green flag.
That's right. There you go. Green flag is in the air. Here we go as they come down for the first time here in Anger. See how they make it through the first corner. SPEC Miata is always a bit of an adventure here.
Sure are. These are momentum cars, as you can see, pushing really wide. Oh, already got a car off on the exit there. Ooh. And a lot of dust thrown up in the air. So back half of that grid really not being able to see their way around.
Yep.
But so far, everyone making it through cleanly.
Looks
we want to see.
No problems there. And now they make their way through the A section and up towards Grapevine. This is the I-5 section. Already single file except for those two cars in the middle there.
Yep, cars already bunching up. And as we're preparing for the cars to make their way through Cotton Corners into Grapevine, approaching the dogleg here in the back straight, going to see a lot of drafting here. This car's punching a hole in the air and trying to push away, create a little pack. That's the thing with SPEC Miata, these cars do not have a lot of power, so the effect of the slipstream or a tow is beyond important for racing, and as a result, you will see these cars strategically working together, whether it's 2 cars, 3 cars, trying to pull away from the cars behind them and create their own pack in the front.
Now, we have 2 now SPEC Mazda classes here. We've got, not today, but we now have, besides the SPEC Miatas, we also have the SPEC MX-5s, which you're now racing on a regular basis. Draft important for both, but I think more important in SPEC Miata, right?
Yes, I would argue it's equally important in both, but I think the effect of it is felt more in SPEC Miata. The SPEC MX-5 car is about 20 years newer in technology, so it's a lot more aerodynamic. And as a result, it punches a smaller hole through the air. So when you're following behind, the effect of, less air resistance is not as great compared to the SPEC Miatas.
And you will get typically several car trains in both SPEC Miata and SPEC MX-5, and they will go nose to tail, and on occasion they may do that dreaded bump drafting, which we say is not legal, but it does happen.
Happens all the time.
So I think the goal is to make sure that when it does happen, it's happening in a straight line and not in the corners. But I've seen some pretty tight racing in the corners as well.
Oh, it definitely gets tight in the corners. We look at tracks across the country like Road America. It happens in the kink, which is a little bit sketchy. And here at Buttonwillow, it happens in the S's. And we can see, already dipping our wheels there.
Wow.
Right on the exit, creating a little bit of a dust cloud. Don't know if that's intentional, trying to slow cars down behind, or just really push the limit there on that exit curb. But all of a sudden, you have all this grip, and then you lose all that grip as soon as you get to that dirt.
Well, and as soon as you put that dirt up, that dirt settles before you get back. And now you've got more slippery coming through turn 1, which makes it even harder to keep your car on the racetrack.
It sure does. And that's kind of the game in SPEC Miata is, every little bit of a detail you can make as far as getting ahead of your competitors. And as we come onto the back straight here, you're really going to start to see the effect of that slipstream. It's always good to be the lead car, but then at the same time, it's kind of the worst feeling, especially when you have a car that's 2 or 3 car lengths behind that's really close. A 2 or 3 car draft is going to be a lot more powerful than a 1 car draft.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, that closing speed starts really reeling you in.
Well, and first lap doesn't mean much because still somewhat cold tires, but Nathan Del Carmen lays down our first fast lap of the session with a 2:10.607. That's the purple lap. So when we say a car goes purple, that means that car has run the fast lap of the session. A green lap time is your personal best in the session. So Obviously, on the first race lap, everybody should be green. Got our cars coming up here through Riverside, and there are our leaders now through the drag strip, down Phil Hill through the drag strip. Then we will get them to pop up here in the S's. So that should be Del Carmen out front. Clement Lee. I think Clement Lee's the red car, I think. Maybe there's been a change in position here. We'll know when they cross the line. As they come across the line for the first time, that first car through is the 10 car of Nathan Del Carmen, followed by Clement Lee. Yep, there they are. Refresh my screen here just a bit. So you've got Del Carmen. Now Clement Lee taking advantage of the draft. That's how he decides he's able to go fast on that second lap. Evan Jacobs is in third after 2 race laps. Cooper Hicks in fourth, followed by Brett Ravata. And then Sam Rezai. Sam, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, shoot me a DM. Aaron Coulter's in 7th. Alex Pollard 8th. Gabe Estrada Jr. in 9th. Alan Lucart is in 10th. Missed a button in the middle there. Those of you who might be tuning in for the first time, I am a talker and a button presser. Look at the draft up front. Those second, third, and fourth cars, Jacobs and Hicks, they better work together to get caught up to Del Carmen and Lee, because if they decide to work together, and there it is, they're already caught up.
Yep, got a pack of 3 cars together. Cooper Hicks closing in right on the back there, and we are going to see that is probably going to be pulling away as our lead pack with those front 4.
Yep. And this is classic SPEC Miata here as they come down Phil Hill towards the drag strip. 3, 4 cars, sometimes even 7, 8 cars, nose to tail, lap after lap after lap. And then they wait till the final lap of the race, and then mayhem.
Exactly. It's always a game of how far up the field do you want to move, knowing that you will be eventually shuffled out at the end. And, of course, it's always great to be ahead, but the reality with these cars is if you make any mistake and you lose that draft, you will never catch the cars in front. So it's a total chess game.
I always hear people, you try to get to the front by the end. Actually, you really want to be second or third going into that last lap, don't you?
Yeah, I think it depends the track. A track like Buttonwillow, I don't mind necessarily being the lead car, but I would argue that sometimes it is better to be, second or third.
Yep.
There we can see a move getting set up in the turn 1 here. And let's see on the exit if we do have a change for the lead.
No,
does
looks like...
Yeah, it does look like Clement Lee did get ahead of Nate Del Carmen.
All right. Now, there's a chance that they'll just swap first and second back and forth here for several laps. What that doesn't do is allow them to pull away from third and fourth. So, and there's now a pass for 4th place, or at least it looked like he was looking for a potential pass. Cooper Hicks there, maybe thinking about getting around Evan Jacobs, but then he pulled back in. A lot of time spent right now trying to figure out where the car in front of you is fast, where you might have an advantage over that car. All of that stuff going into your memory bank so that when you do get to the final 5 minutes of this race, you've got a game plan. And then, of course, there are no game plans because they all get messed up.
Exactly. There never are really game plans necessarily. You can try to predict what's going to happen, but in SPEC Miata, the racing's often too close to predict.
Yep. Now we've got a 2-car battle up front. The second, third, and fourth, Jacobs and Hicks really need to keep tied in there. See them coming down off the hill and now into our view here.
Ooh, pushing all the way to the inside there. That's quite the aggressive defending.
Hard driving, yeah, hard driving.
Yeah, whenever you see dirt flying on a regular straightaway where there's no corners nearby, that's quite aggressive on the defensive move. But that's a typical SPEC Miata thing you see.
Right.
Doing everything you can to get ahead. And it seems like Brett Ravetta is closing in a little bit on Cooper Hicks, so looking like we're going to have 5 cars joining the party here.
Yep. And we've got some of the best. You get towards the end of the year, runoffs are over. It's time to really come out and have fun. You get some of the best drivers out here trying to get their last their last reps in before what we call the off season, which is what, a month and a half, 2 months?
Yeah, barely anything.
Almost nothing. And of course, we're gonna start out here for the Super Tour next year. So I really anticipate our final race in 3 weeks is going to be on the new track, the circuit. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of cars at that race because it is a Super Tour preview. Corvette just went purple. Did you mention that?
Yep, closing in. So there we go. 2:08.879, current fastest lap of the race. And Clement Lee, who's leading our field, only a 10th behind that on lap times. So super tight field up at the front.
Yeah, so I suspect we might get a pretty decent field. Also, that's the last race before winter or before the holidays. And if you want to get that last little racing fix in, that was something my dad always wanted to do when he was driving is whatever the last race of the year is, I want to be at that race because then I got to wait. And in Wisconsin, you got to wait until April.
Yeah, exactly.
May. So it's really important to get to that October race because it's a 5-month layoff.
Yep, that is one thing we're blessed with here in Southern California. We can race year-round.
Pretty much, yeah.
Rain or shine, it's always great here.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the other cars in this race. We only get the top 10 on our race monitor here, but the rest of this field, let's do a full field rundown here. Clement Lee, Nathan Del Carmen, Evan Jacobs, your top 3, followed by Cooper Hicks, Brett Ravada, Sam Reze, Aaron Coulter, Richard James, Alex Pollard, Gabe Estrada Jr. That's the top 10. Now, beyond top 10, Alan Lukart Jr. or Alan Lukart III is in 11th, followed by Carl Yonk, Hendrick Webster, Broderick Dunlap, and William Sturgeon. That is 11 through 15 as they stand right now. With 10 minutes, 10 minutes into this race, about 15 minutes to go. Not quite halfway here. But we're almost halfway, and we still got this 4-car battle. Comes, oh, wow, look at the leaders. Oh, one car goes way off, and then some evasive moves to try to avoid. I think they thought maybe that car was going to come back on and catch a wheel and come across the track. Did not happen. Clement Lee now goes purple, pulls back into that top slot time-wise with a 2:08.412.
He's really finding his own groove out there.
Yeah.
Not only running fastest, but pulling away more and more from the field.
I think that was Cooper Hicks who went off because Brett Ravada's now popped into 4th place. So that would make sense. Had to check up a little bit, and that's why you saw those cars scrambling to get around him.
Bump thrafting down the back straight, trying to get that little bit of speed out there. Of course, that is the one thing for Clement Lee right now in the lead. Obviously, all by himself, not going to get that little bit of speed from bump drafting, but
right.
If he continues rolling in fast lap times like that, don't see the other cars potentially catching him. But we'll see on the lap time charts how much of a difference the draft truly makes.
Yeah, I think Del Carmen just popped out to take the lead there going into that little bend. We'll check there. The red car, that's Del Carmen, right? Clement Lee's in the silver car.
Clement Lee's in a black car.
In a black car. Where did Clement Lee go?
I think we're 1 camera behind right now.
Are we 1 camera behind?
Let's see.
Is there a second pack that I was following?
I think so.
You'll have that. Operator error.
This is pack number 2.
Yep. Okay, so I was following the second pack, which we can do. That second pack would have been Cooper Hicks, Sam Reze, Richard James, and Aaron Coulter. Yeah, that's the second pack. Let's pick up our leaders here. They come across the line right now. There they are. Big battle. They're going into turn 1 for second, third, fourth. I think Clement Lee has opened up a bit of a gap here. What is the gap at the line? Yeah, 3 seconds. Clement Lee has opened up a 3-second lead over second place. So that is pretty substantial. That is 3 seconds in Spec Miata is an eternity.
That is an eternity.
That's kind of uncatch-upable unless he makes a mistake.
Yeah, really going to rely on those 4 cars behind to start pushing each other. That's the only way you can possibly catch a 3-second gap. Or unless, of course, he makes a mistake.
Sure.
But looking at the pace of everyone and not really bump drafting too much, I don't really see that gap closing that much. So be interesting to see if he can hold that all the way to the end or extend the lead even more.
Yeah. And I have seen over the time I've spent out here, Clement Lee race this car a lot. And I can tell you, he is not a driver that makes a lot of mistakes. So, but sometimes when you have a big lead, you lose your concentration because you're not being pressured. You don't have that constant needing to look in your mirror and see what's coming next. And that's when a mistake can happen.
You do. There's a certain intensity that does go away. You're just driving laps. Almost feels like a test session out there. And, of course, that's something that some drivers like because they feel a little bit of pressure when they're driving in their mirrors. But sometimes a lot of drivers, they don't like that. So I'm personally a driver who doesn't mind having a big lead. I think it's nice and comfortable. Kind of control your own pace. Versus, when you're in a pack, it's pretty intense.
Right.
But, yeah, 3-second lead out here is definitely something to be comfortable with. But, of course, we only are 15 minutes into the race. Got 10 minutes to go, so anything can still happen. And he goes even faster, 2.82 right there, all by himself.
Yeah, I don't know any driver who complains about having a big lead. I just know that you sometimes have to keep really on top of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no one's going to complain about that.
Yeah. So, coming from someone who hasn't had the opportunity to have a lot of big leads in his life. So, oops, there we go. Beautiful weather out here, 77-ish degrees at this hour. So heat of the day, but at this time of year, heat of the day, it's not so bad. Of course, our racing here brought to you by Porterfield Racing Brakes. They're place to go for all of your brake needs, whether for your race car or your high-performance street car, or even if it's not quite a high-performance street car. They had brakes for a Honda Fit. So, and although I was autocrossing the Honda Fit, but nonetheless, a lot of different stuff. Also, all the different doodads that go with making your brakes work. They are the experts and can answer your questions, help you out. They also make you custom brake pads, custom brake shoes if you've got an older car. And wow, Clement Lee just pulling away. Anyway, the place to go for all of your brake needs, of course, Porterfield-brakes.com. A big thank you to them for being a supporter of our live stream here right from day one. And we would not be here without the support of our good friends at Porterfield. Look at that. What the heck?
Yeah, it's quite the lead.
Or is that the lead?
That's the lead right there.
That's the lead, okay.
It's still
But
crazy.
still, look at that.
All the way through the S's. Not a single car. There we go. There's Evan Jacobs.
Yeah. That is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They always say that 4 cars is faster than 1, but today I don't think that's the case.
Well, and Clement Lee's a fantastic race car driver, but the 3 guys behind him are not anything to sneeze at. They're all pretty strong. So, nothing wrong with that, though. The gap at the line this time by was a whopping 7.6 seconds. I don't use the word whopping in a Spec Miata race very often.
Very rare.
Yeah. Now, it's just a race for who's going to get second and third on the podium. Oops, wrong button. There we go. We always used to joke when we would have, my dad would have a lead like this. I'm like, what? I would tell Dad, let's come in and change oil.
Exactly.
Just to kind of keep it light so you don't, your driver's not, has a little bit of something fun to think about and they don't have to worry about the fact that, I can't make a mistake because they're going to catch back up.
7 seconds in Spec Miata is an absolute eternity.
Yeah, this does not happen very often.
It sure does
Someone went
not.
off way there out from the distance. You could see at the exit of Grapevine there. Probably just put one. It doesn't take a one wheel off out here. Looks like something big because you get a lot of dust.
You sure do. The wheels just kick up absolutely everything.
It's crazy. You know, Lee might end up catching some of the back markers here. Coming up on 6 minutes to go here. Your leader, Clement Lee, followed by Evan Jacobs, Nathan Del Carmen, Brett Ravada, Cooper Hicks. 6th through 10th is James Pollard, Reze, Coulter, and Estrada Jr. I'll be honest with you, I have lost my leader. There he is. He'll be coming across the line here in just a second. Believe that is him right there. And we're going to get the pack of... Is the pack of 4 now 2 packs of 2?
It is 2 packs of 2.
Yeah.
2, 1, and 1.
Yep. That is certainly not the way to catch the leader. They really had to stay together to have any chance. So, yeah, we can probably stop talking about catching the leader as an option at this point. So now it's Jacobs and Del Carmen to try to figure out who's going to come in second, who's going to come in third.
That's really where I think the battle of this race is going to be.
Yep. And that should be these 2 cars right here.
Yep, this is these 2. Of course, going into Cotton Corners, not really a place a lot of people go for an overtake because you have that long straightaway right after. So oftentimes people wait to get a good slipstream going onto the back straight. Then you make a move into Riverside if you're feeling extra bold.
Yep. So we're going to keep watching. Well, there's a little bit of a gap now between second. Yep, we've got now some slower cars. Clement Lee is starting to work his way around that slower traffic. I will say, I think he now has some clear track once he got around those last 2 cars. I think the first 12 cars keep in pretty good pace. Well, I think Lee's about to take another car right there. He'll get around that one, probably just going into the final corner. But after that, he's going to have some clean sailing here for the next 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes here as we get to the end of this race. Absolute masterclass. There is the battle for second, just coming through our screen here. For some reason I keep missing this button. I keep going to the dog leg. There's Hicks. There is a slower car. And then I believe that is second and third right there. And then I believe that orange car is Cooper Hicks.
Yes, Cooper Hicks is the silver and orange Spec Miata.
All right. It's a lot easier to follow these races when it's just one class, isn't it?
It's a lot easier. That's for sure.
Joey Andrews is our announcer with me this weekend. Tristan Parker, who's normally with us, under the weather. He'll be back hopefully with us in 3 weeks. And hopefully Joey will have 3 people in the booth. Crazy talk. Maybe I'll just get to press buttons while you guys get to do all of the fun here. I'm good with that. Yeah. Ooh, that's a tough place to catch a slower car.
That really is probably
Gosh,
one of the worst parts in the track.
Yeah, you can't find a worse place. Good on that slower car for getting out of the way, but there's nothing that slower car can do better than what they did there. 2 minutes to go in this race. I'm hearing from race control that the white flag will be out next time by. Then we'll have one final race of the day here before we go racing. We'll come back tomorrow and do it again. So we'll tell you all about that. And we will see the white flag as soon as Clement Lee comes out of. There it is, white flag in the air. Big white flag from our starter, Chuck Phillips. Now the next two cars come across second place here. Well, 9 corners to go for your race leader. Tomorrow's qualifying starting grid will be based on today's qualifying and race and tomorrow's qualifying, and whatever your best time is out of those 3 sessions will be how they set the grid for our races tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon's races are going to be 30-minute races, so a little longer. Today's race is 25 minutes. Coming up the hill towards Phil Hill. It's really hard to explain the elevation change there because it is pretty significant to come up and over that hill.
Yeah, the wide angle on the camera definitely doesn't allow you to see it that well. But when you do approach Phil Hill in a car, it is quite something.
Yeah.
Completely blind on the entry. You feel the uphill,
Yeah.
feel that cresting over the apex, and then the very sharp drop. There you can get a scale. The lead Clement Lee has pulled.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy. And even Evan Jacobs in second. The gap from third, another huge one. And the gap from third to fourth, big as well. So it was a race that started super close. Now, very far spread out at the end.
Checkered flag in the air. One of the easiest wins anyone will ever have in SPEC Miata. Clement Lee is our race winner. Coming across the line in second place will be Evan Jacobs, followed by Nathan Del Carmen. Brett Ravata will finish in fourth. And Cooper Hicks, after running in that third and fourth spot for the first half of the race, will come home in third. We will take just a second here, let a few more cars come across the line. I'll do one more call to grid, and then we'll give you the full running order here. All right, let's do the full field rundown here. Clement Lee, your race winner. Evan Jacobs, second. Your podium finisher, number 3, or third place on the podium, is Nathan Del Carmen. Followed by Brett Ravata, Cooper Hicks, Alex Pollard, Sam Reze, Aaron Coulter, Alan Lukart III comes up to 9th place. Carl Yonk finishes in 10th. And in 11th, Richard James in the only SMX car in the group, followed by William Sturgeon and Hendrick Webster. Broderick Dunlap will finish 14th, and Gabe Estrada Jr. will finish in 15th, 3 laps down. Must have had some problems with that car. So that's how they finished here at Buttonwillow. One more race to go before we're done for today. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. All right, we're back here live, getting ready for our final race of the day here. And this is going to be our Spec Racer Fords, our Formula Fs, and our Formula Vs. We have two Formula F classes, the FFTS and the FF class. The FFTS is a spec tire class. That's the difference between the two. But here they are, and our starting grid on our 11th row is going to be Mark Edwards in our sole Formula V car here for the weekend. In row number 10, we've got Kinnan Marshall and Drew Salter. Row number 9, we'll have Don Palla, and now these are going to be all Spec Racer Fords now. Don Palla and Thomas Kopitnik. I think we might have a split start too. Yeah, Spec Racer Fords are going to be the second cars off here. And then we have in row number 8 is Mike McCarthy and Vince Balch. Row number 7, Jay Rosenthal, Mike Moshe. Row number 6, Mark Ballingy and Paul Moreno. Row number 5, Jeremy Rudder and Brian Schubert. That's your front two cars in Spec Racer Ford 3. Then we've got, Robert Edmondson will be your pole sitter in Spec Racer Ford 3. Johnny Crean and Wayne Smith are in row number 4. Then we've got Eric Polson and Edward Gunther, followed by Eric, Cody Hyrst, and Eric Little. And your pole sitter is Stuart Patterson. That's how they're going to start here for our final race of the day. All right, so we're about to get our final 25-minute race of the day underway here. There's your second group, our Spec Racer Fords. Much like the Spec Miatas, these cars are pretty much identical. They're purpose-built race car chassis with Ford motors, and most of them have SADIV sequential gearboxes. This car dates back to the 1980s. When I drove them, they were not Fords, they were sports Renaults. That was the original configuration. Same chassis, nothing there has changed. But now it's got a Ford motor and a SADIV transmission. This is Spec Racer Ford 3, so this is the third generation of Fords. So I guess I'm so old, I was in the first generation, which would have been 4 generations ago. And Joey's laughing at me. Probably deserved that. All right, let's see here. Oh, we've already got the cars. Our first group, our Fords, our Formula Fs are coming through and on to turn onto the front straight here. We will see if our race starter likes what he sees, and I think he will. Green flag in the air, and we are racing our final race of the day here at Buttonwillow. Nice big Formula F field. Look at those cars all going down now towards turn 2 or turn 1 for the first time. Everybody seems to get through just fine. I like that. Nice, nice, nice. We're going to go back and check out our start for our for our Spec Racers. Ever do any open wheel or anything like that?
Besides karting, no. Never had the chance to. Would love to if there was an opportunity.
These are, for many places, the Fords are the next step up for karting. If you want to take your career in the open wheel path, Formula F is typically your next stop, especially if that's how they do it in Europe. Here, sometimes they go up to winged Formula cars. But here comes our Spec Racer Fords. They come through side by side. Much like the Miatas, the Spec Racer Ford's definitely a drafting class. You will see 3, 4, 5, 6 car trains. Oh,
Ooh,
well, somebody
back there
went 2 cars off. Not sure if there was any contact there. Not quite sure what row those cars came from. Now your Fords come through here for the first time. Fords often put on a really good show here. Oh, wait a second. I hit the wrong button once again. As we get late in the day, I get tired. As my friends down south would say, I get tired. Our Fords coming across the start-finish line here, all pretty much nose to tail. Your leader is Cody Hayhurst. We'll pick him up in just a second. Stuart Patterson is in second, followed by Eric Little, Eric Paulson, and Eric Gunther. That is your top five in Spec Racer Ford. We'll pick them up here. I'm not in Formula Ford, I'm sorry, which we call Formula F now because there are some Honda engines in Formula F. That top five, though, still fairly top six. Still pretty much in striking distance of each other. Hayhurst, Patterson, Little, those are the three up front. Then you've got Polson, Gunther, and Marshall. Johnny Crane, who also raced a prototype, is in eighth, followed by Larry Hayashagawa. I hope I got that right, Larry. And Drew Salter. That is your top 10 right now.
Yeah, and watching these Formula Fords, as you can see, they are even drafting pretty well. Of course, these cars, they're open wheel, but they don't have any wings, so purely mechanical grip. And it's a class that's been out there for quite a long time all across the world. Very popular, very iconic. And pretty much anywhere you go in the world, always a big field of these cars.
Yep. Going back and looking at the top cars in Spec Racer Ford right now. We can't see them on our timing tower, but I can tell you that Robert Edmondson is your leader in the Spec Racer Fords. Followed by Jeremy Rudder, and then Brian Schubert is in third. Mike Moshe is fourth. Vince Balch is in fifth in Spec Racer Ford. So that's how they sit right now. Let's see, where are the front of our, I believe there's your lead pack of Formula Fs coming out of turn 2, heading up towards turn 3. We call that the off-ramp on this configuration. And, of course, the off-ramp leads you on to, it should be the on-ramp. Shouldn't it be the on-ramp going on to
When you run clockwise, it's the on-ramp.
That's right. It's the off-ramp.
When you run counterclockwise, it's the off-ramp. One goes down, one goes up. So
see, I should know that. I've been here a long time. I never thought of that. So, yeah, so it's the on-ramp. But when I look at the track map, it still says the off-ramp. That's why I said the off-ramp, by the way. I have defensible reasoning for making that mistake.
fair enough. They just didn't upgrade their track map. They should definitely do that.
Yeah, I like that. All right, let's now move on to picking up our leaders in Spec Racer Ford as they come off the front straight onto turn 1. Edmondson already opened up a pretty big lead over second and third place right now.
Definitely pulling the lead.
Yeah,
we see a little bit of cars behind there, but not as close as we were expecting necessarily.
Yeah, I say also pretty unexpected. The like Spec Miata, those Spec Racer Fords typically are drafting their way, around most racetracks that they're at. So this lead is a little uncommon. We're only 6 minutes in. Stuart Patterson in Formula F just dropped the fast lap of the race with a 1:54.3. Cody Hayhurst still with the race lead, though. Let's see if we can find them. Pretty certain this is going to be your Formula F pack here. Patterson hanging on there. Eric Little also trying to hang on. He is a little further back. See what I did there? And then, of course, you've got Eric Polson in fourth. all come through the dog leg. We'll be back out here tomorrow morning at, I pull up my schedule. We'll be live around 11 o'clock, a little after 11 o'clock for our first race of the day. Same 6 groups, or same 5 race groups as we have today. Here comes our Fords down off the hill. And there they go. Haven't checked the chat in a while. Anybody chatting us up? Oh, Lee the OG says, hi, Brian. I have a feeling I know which Lee that is. I think that's one of my sim racing teammates. We have a endurance team that we race with. They're fast. I am not. I joke that they keep me around because my I rating brings them down a couple splits. So we've got a better chance to win. They take the average of the driver to determine which split you come in. I definitely am the guy who brings the bell curve down for this racing team. Although I'm getting better, which is probably not good for them. Here comes our leaders in Formula F. Those 3 come closer together now. Hayhurst, Patterson, and Little's now a 3-car battle. We'll see them coming out of the on-ramp. I've learned something today. I love that. And then a big gap back to the 4th, 5th, and 6th place cars, which have their own little battle there.
Yeah, it's interesting at this race they've turned out into 2 groups of 3. You
Yeah.
don't normally see that in racing too often.
Yeah.
Perfectly symmetrical.
Yeah. Now, the little difference there is the first 3 cars are on that SPEC tire. Eric Poulsen, the leader of that second group, is in a Formula F, which means he doesn't have to run that SPEC tire. I'm not sure. He might be running it, just for all I know. Take a quick peek while we're following these guys at the gap here. Yeah, still big gaps in Spec Racer Ford, which is kind of why I'm not paying a ton of attention to them. We will get back to them in a bit here. But this race here for the front up in, here you go, 3 cars. Well, now it's 2 cars with a little bit of gap down to 3rd. This is a very typical race for Stuart Patterson. He likes to hang in 2nd and put a whole bunch of pressure on the leader or whoever's in front of him. And often that leads to a mistake, which makes for an easy pass, although Hayhurst just went purple with a 154.136. And then he'll take advantage of a mistake, or he'll just wait till the final 2 or 3 laps and then pounce. So...
yeah, and in these style of cars, it's very different to the Spec Miatas we saw earlier.
Yeah.
Not going to be any bump drafting, obviously, as open wheel. You make any contact, it never ends well.
No.
So it's all a game about being cautious and being consistent. And, of course, we're only about...
coming up on halfway.
yeah, just coming up on halfway, so not going to see too much aggression yet. But, of course, even when there is that aggression, it's very different to what you see in Spec Miata.
Yep. And what you're going to see now is they're going to come around one slower Spec Racer Ford here. I think that might be the only one they'll get in this race. And now where are they going to catch that Ford? We saw in the last race, catching someone going into Phil Hill, not very fun. Oops, there's a shot there, which is something that could happen here. Nope, looks like they've both gotten around him nice and easy. Let's see if we can get a better shot with the digital breakup we've got here. And it looks like the Fords have gotten around, but they'll have to catch, so they'll be catching up with some more cars here. These groups race together on a fairly regular basis, and they know the different speed differentials, so I'm sure that car was not surprised when they were caught. So, and a lot of these drivers in these cars do have radios, so they'll get a little bit of word from, yeah, there is our race leaders, and there is Patterson just all over the tailpipe of Corey Hayhurst. Yeah, Now that gap back to third place. Third place pretty much got it locked up unless Eric Little makes a mistake. I don't think he'll catch the leaders unless they make a mistake. And I don't think the people behind him, McKinnon, Marshall, Edward Gunther, Eric Poulsen, I don't think they can catch that third place car. So
we are seeing a little bit of traffic coming in. There's obviously the Spec Racer Fords mixing in with the Formula Fords. So that's going to make interesting effect as the race goes on. Lap time difference between these cars right now is looking to be around a few seconds, so it's nothing crazy. But of course, that is enough to where you're not going to easily pass by.
Right.
And that'll be interesting for the race leaders if they can make their way cleanly through.
All right, coming up on halfway, let's do a full field rundown, and then we'll follow the Spec Racer Ford leaders here just a little bit. Cody Hayhurst, your leader, followed by Stuart Patterson, Eric Little. There's your top three. Also, the top three in FFTS, followed by Kinnan Marshall, Edward Gunther, and Eric Poulsen, your lead car in Formula F. Wayne Smith, Johnny Crean, Larry Heshigawa, and Drew Salter, they're going to round out the top 10. Now we get into our Spec Racer Fords. Robert Edmondson, Jeremy Rudder, and Brian Schubert, your top three in Spec Racer Ford, followed by Jay Rosenthal, Vince Balch, Paul Marino, Mike McCarthy, Mike Boucher, Don Pella, Thomas Kapitnik, Mark Edwards. That car, that Spec Racer Ford that we've been that started to go around the leaders, the leaders in Formula F. That's Mark Ballingy. There must be a problem with that car because Marcus typically drives up at the front end of this pack. He is a pretty good race car driver, so I suspect there's a problem with that 197 car. And then of course Mark Edwards, our one Formula V, pulling up the back of the field here, and he has been with us for decades. What a great guy and a great race car driver. But he is the only Formula V in this group. I think that was our leaders. Oops. I believe that's Brian Schubert there. So the car in front of him. Yep, that should be your Spec Racer Ford leader right there, I think. Get to the end of the day, and I start to lose my voice. I'm out of practice, Joey. Out of practice.
Not a problem. That's why we got two of us here filling in for each other.
That's good.
So
that's good.
Yeah, as we follow along with the Spec Racer Fords right now, current leader is showing on the timing, Robert Edmondson.
Yep. I think I have. Let me see if I can find the leaders here. The two cars that went off at the start of the race, just getting word back, were the 14 car and the 197 car. The 197 is Mark Ballingy, so that's what happened there. He was that car that went off on the first lap. It may have damaged the car a little bit, is my guess. And then the other car that went off on the first lap is the number 14 car. That is Paul Marino. They're teammates. Oops. Although I think the second car went off to avoid the first car, to be honest with you. So so that is what's going on there. So that explains why Ballingy's off the pace a bit. Trying to pick up our leaders here in Spec Racer Ford to give them a little bit of love. Coming up on a little over 9 minutes to go in this race. Yeah, I think that there is Edmondson.
Yep, you can see here we got our front pack in Spec Racer Ford cutting their way through the Formula Fords. So definitely going to make our battle for the lead pretty interesting.
Yep. And it looks like Edmondson's just pulling away now.
Yeah, and that's the difference going through the traffic can make. So you can slice your way through a lot more efficiently.
Yep, no question.
Not only goes from tenths of a second, but it turns into seconds. And with a lead like that, that is the result of that.
Yep.
And going through the S's, you can see that massive lead.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
The gap to second to third's decently significant, but not as far. second, third, fourth, and fifth, all relatively close to each other.
Just another good example of how important the draft is. Just like we saw in the SPEC Miata race, once you lose it, it is impossible to get it back.
Yeah, Robert Edmondson on that last lap, lapping a full 0.6 faster.
Yep.
So definitely making, or sorry, look at this, 1.4 seconds. That's the effect of traffic, 1.4 seconds.
Wow.
Absolutely crazy.
All right, we're back on now. Here is our lead for Formula F. We're going to stick with this to the end of the race, it looks like, because those two cars right there, nose to tail, are Corey Hayhurst and Stuart Patterson. So, and Patterson just seemingly happy to be there in second place, seeing no real reason to push the issue at the moment. Just you wait, though. Patterson is in the red car. I believe it's the silver. Is that silver? We'll see them coming back through here one more time. Whitish silver. Patterson coming through the dog leg. Here they come. Wow, Patterson's going to put his nose out just to make it big, trying to make a pass going into Riverside. Let's see if he gets it done. We'll find out right here. Maybe not. Of course.
Of course, it ruined it.
Break up right at the right time.
Riverside's one of the riskiest places to pass. We really wanted to see that one, and of course, our internet decided otherwise. But going into the run into Star Mazda here, as we exit Phil Hill, one of the best passing zones on the track.
Yep.
So, and of course, our internet's not being friendly to us either. So.
Yeah, but the camera in the S's has been really good here, and of course now it's not. I love it.
Get a nice streak of red through there.
Here they come across the line. Oh, actually, coming onto the front straight. Someone put a little wheel off there. Coming across this time is it. Wow, look at all of those cars. Yep, Patterson is able to make that. There he is. Patterson's right there. Made that pass stick. Takes the lead for the first time here in this race with about 6 minutes to go, 5.5 minutes to go. Now the question is, can he hold on? Maybe start to even pull away a little bit. That is a different red car. And there are the two leaders right there in the middle of Spec Racer Fords. Now Hayhurst can just do kind of what Patterson did. He's got 5 minutes, so he could just sit there and kind of weigh his options. He also now knows where Patterson likes to make that move. So that'll be something he'll bank away for knowing next time or maybe closer to the end of the race.
Absolutely. This is the game where, you've got 5 minutes left, so essentially it's probably around 3 laps here, realistically.
Yep.
And this is the game where you say, okay, I know where my driver's been making moves or been peeking his nose out, where he's strong, where he's weak. And this is where if you're in second, you're thinking about setting up a move. And if you're in first, you're thinking, okay, where do I need to be defensive?
Yep.
And at the same time, the second you go to be defensive, you lose a lot of lap time. So this is where it's really, really important to not lose too much lap time at this part of the race, because this is the crucial part. Every bit counts, especially when you're this close.
Yep. Oh, there's a car out there. I don't know how long that car's been there. That looks like it's Mark Edwards in the Formula V. There is your race leader with another slower Formula F car in front of them, trying to get maybe a little bit of a draft. Yeah, that definitely, well, I don't know. From a distance, it's hard to tell, but it does look like the yellow car, the yellow Formula V there. Coming across the line again. This time it is still Patterson up front, Hayhurst right behind him. They were able to dispatch Eric Little, who is actually, with all of that lap traffic, he's been able to get back into the discussion a little bit here. So he's now right there as well. And now we've got the 3 Formula F cars all back together again. The gang back together. We'll see them now. Oh, no, Little's a little further back.
Yep, still a battle for the front
Yeah.
two, but I think P3 is just far enough off now where,
Yeah.
unless the front two make a mistake,
Yeah.
really don't see any way of them catching.
Yeah. And, you know, if you're going for the lead, anything can happen in that last lap. So,
This will be a good one to watch.
yep. And there are your leaders.
Still
there.
running nice and close to each other.
Yep.
Not making a move just yet.
Also have to keep in mind that the sun right now going into Riverside is not very helpful at all.
It's completely blinding right now. Our cameras don't do it justice, but
Well, and I was talking with Brian Schubert during lunch, and he said that yesterday he was out here at this time, and it was the worst he's ever had because not only it's the time of the day, but the time of the year, the sun's at a different spot in the sky. And so it's really, really hard to see right now. He said for the first time in his career, he was going to put a black stripe on his visor, a black piece of tape to help him with it. So,
yeah, driving into the sun completely blind, you're just on instinct. And, of course, going to the Riverside corner, that's the fastest corner on this track. So definitely the scariest part to have that occur and not fun at all.
All right, 23 minutes left. My guess is next time by, we're going to get the white flag. There's your race leaders coming through and stopping right for us on our camera. All right, looks like Hayhurst trying to make a move possibly there.
Making a move into cotton corners
Yep.
is always a risky one with that back straight. But if you can make it stick, be a little defensive on the exit, and defend all the way down the back straight here through the dogleg, it's one that can pay off. And let's see who pulls out ahead.
Yep.
Going side by side into Riverside. This is going to be interesting.
Oh,
Here
boy.
we go.
Buckle up your belts, people. Where are they?
Oh, we have a spin.
We have a spin going out of Riverside. It looked like it was Hayhurst sideways through there. The question is, did Patterson come out of there unscathed? If not, Eric Little is going to take advantage of this situation and become the new leader.
The big question, was there contact or did he just go off on his own?
I don't know.
We knew going side by side to the entry there, that was going to be pretty darn risky. And completely sideways there on the exit.
Yeah, let's see if we can pick up here. Who comes through next? It looks like Patterson may have not been involved or at least gotten through it without any issues. We'll know here in just a second. Waiting to see the white flag go in the air here. There it is. White flag is in the air. Is it going to be for... Yep, it is Patterson still in the lead. Little moves into second. Hayhurst hasn't come across the line yet. We'll see how far he ends up falling back here. Now Hayhurst falls back to fourth. There's Patterson now coming through Cotton Corner for the final time. Hayhurst drops back to fifth. See if there's anything on my timing sheet here. No, well, and the corners won't be calling this in right now because it's radio silence on the final lap. Unless it's an emergency, they will not call in what happened. We'll find out afterwards. I may have lost my leader here. Trying to do too many things at once. Stuart Patterson, if he can hold on, he'll be going under the checkered flag here. Starter has that checkered flag in his hand. That means he's expecting next car through to be our race leader. All right. Checkered flag in the air. There we go. It's going to be Stuart Patterson's going to take the win. Eric Little will finish second. Well, I got to tell you, if Cody Hayhurst only dropped down to fifth, that's a pretty good recovery considering we were looking at the nose of that car sliding through Riverside.
Completely facing the wrong direction, only losing 4 spots.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world.
No. And that also means that the car still has all 4 wheels on it, which means he can come back out tomorrow.
Exactly. That's what matters.
Yep. There's Polson across the line. Let's see. There is Cody Hayhurst. That's a heck of a recovery considering where he was. And, I can't tell you. I've done this a long time. I don't ever think I've seen the front of a car in that particular camera. So that's a pretty big deal. So, all right. Let's go through still waiting for our Spec Racer Ford leaders to come through. So we're going to catch them here in just a second. They should be on their final lap. All right. Unless they were a lap down, but I don't think the entire Spec Racer 4 field was a lap down. Maybe I'm wrong. Nope, here they come to the line. Robert Edmondson. Wow, that was a photo finish in Spec Racer Ford.
That sure was.
There they are. What a great finish. Robert Edmondson holds off Jeremy Rutter. And then Brian Schubert comes across the line in third. What a great finish in that race. I was not expecting that. That wasn't that close a little while back. So it becomes Rutter, Schubert, Marino. Then you got Jay Rosenthal, Mike McCarthy, Vince Balch, Mike Boucher, Drew Salter. Finished 16th with a Formula F car, followed by Don Palla, Thomas Kopitnik, Larry Hashigawa finished 19th, McKinnon, Marshall, and then Mark Edwards and Mark Ballingy going to the front of our field here for the Formula Fs, your top 10, your top 7 actually. Stuart Patterson, Eric Little, Edward Gunther, Eric Polson, great recovery by Cody Hayhurst to finish 5th, Wayne Smith finishes 6th, Johnny Crean finishes 7th. That's going to do it here from Buttonwillow Raceway Park, our final race today. We're back here around 11 o'clock tomorrow for more racing. Big thank you to our partner and our presenting sponsor, Porterfield Racing Brakes. Anything you need for your brakes on your car, street car, race car, performance street car, give them a call, porterfield-brakes.com. You can find them on the web. You can also give them a call as well. Joey Andrews, thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you had fun. Hope you'll come back tomorrow and do it again.
Absolutely.
And we're going to sign off for now and go get ourselves some dinner and then come back again and do it again tomorrow morning. That's going to do it here from Buttonwillow Raceway Park. He's Joey Andrews. I'm Brian Belansky. Have yourself a great night. Stay safe and go play with cars.